Hey there, and welcome to my channel, the Paperbag Investor. Today's video is for my fellow Canadians, and I want to look at some recent data on the tax-free savings account and then give you some actionable tips for you that if you take action on and you take them to heart could make the difference of actually hundreds of thousands of dollars plus in your financial life. Hundreds of thousands of dollars of actually tax-free dollars, that is, in your financial life if you take this to heart, if you take action on them. So let's get into it. So the CRA recently posted some data on the tax-free savings account from the 2018 tax year. If you don't know what the tax-free savings account, you don't have one, I have a number of videos explaining what it is, explaining how to make the most of it, explaining why I think it's the best investing vehicle that there really is out there, and also giving a walkthrough on how to open a Quest Trade tutorial. But anyways, the CRA put out some data and it's quite interesting. I was looking at the data here. I'll put a link to this source page from them, but you can actually download the data into an Excel file, which I did. And there's a number of data points across different income streams, different income levels, I should say. And I charted one that I found most interesting, which was actually the average unused tax-free savings contribution room. And it starts at your taxable income up to a higher taxable income. And the interesting thing is that you'd think it'd be almost a descending line from low income to high income, but it's actually fairly level across the board, hovering around that $33,000, $34,000, $35,000 mark of unused contribution room that the average Canadian has. It's not till you get to about $100,000 plus in taxable income that it starts to really slope off, and you see that these people probably have so much money that they've seen some financial advisors. They have more money than they even maybe know what to spend or do with, and so they've made sure more of them have maxed out their tax-free savings account. But I find it really interesting that all these people in the 50, 60, 70, 80s, 90s, 1,000 kind of range all have a similar amount of unused contribution room, which would sort of tell me, even at lower levels, they have a similar amount as well. So it would tell me it's more a function of the kind of negligence of putting in the account, saving money or putting into account, rather than actually ability to do so as Canadians. It's more a function of you're just not bothering to do it, or you haven't thought about it or prioritize it, rather than actually your means to do it and what you can afford to save or not. Oh, so that's kind of some interesting data on that. Now, what does this mean, and what could this mean for you? So I created a calculator. And I took that number, I took the average across those ranges of different incomes of $33,800. And I put in a calculator here, say you make a compound annual growth rate of 8%, which is kind of what the stock market has historically averaged over the last 100 years or so. So say today, if you had all that room, or even the next year or two, you were able to just save up $33,800 and you put that amount into your tax-free savings account and you invested it into the stock market, depending whether that's individual stocks or index funds or a mix. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But if you did that and you looked at the years, so starting with year 0, that's the amount you had, and you go down, ding, 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 as this amount grows. Of course, you're not even adding anything to this amount. This doesn't account for additional contributions you make over time. But say you just maxed up your TFSA, so in 10 years' time, that $33,000 would be $72,000, $73,000. If you scan out, maybe you're 30 years old now, and you think 20 years' time when you're 50, that $30,000 would actually be $157,000 tax-free. And maybe you go forward even 10 years, that $33,000 would be $340,000 tax-free, completely tax-free, that you could continue to also snowball. You could slowly siphon off these amounts when you're 60. If you're 30 now and you're starting, and when you're 60, slowly siphon them off while continuing to grow those till maybe you're 80, 90 and full into your retirement. That's 8% compound annual growth rate. But say you can do even better, because there's people that actually do much better than the average of the stock market. So say you could even do 15% compound annual growth rate, you're able on average. Then if you look out, so say you look out 10 years, that's going to be 136,000. It's much, much higher. It's 553,000. I'm going to make this bigger. And if you went 30 years out, you're talking $2 million just if you're able to make 15% or more per year. Say you could even do something really ridiculous like 25% a year. And you're able to maintain that, then you're talking $300,000 in 10 years. That upping that amount, going to make this bigger again. 20 years, you're talking 2.9 million. 30 years, you're talking 27 million. Who knows whether maybe the government's going to alter the tax-free savings account by then, who are grandfather in some new rules. I'm not sure. But the point is just maxing out that contribution room and can make a huge difference in your life. Now maybe you think, no, that's not possible. Who possibly could make 25% compound annual growth rate? And I'm going to show you my Questrade account return over the last 8 years since 2012. I've been investing since kind of 2008 roughly, and I do this not to brag but to kind of open your eyes to what is possible. So it's actually, since 2012, my account, I've done well with it. I'm very thankful for that, and it's been a lot of research, a lot of hard work, but it's averaged I'm at just over 30% compound annual growth rate in my account for the last 8 years. And I really hope to continue to achieve that kind of a growth rate. To me, it's sort of that 20% or higher I would really shoot for. 15, 20%, 15% kind of minimum, and with big upside. If I can think I could maybe I hope I could get 20, 25, even 30% going forward for the next 10 years would be incredible, but I don't know if I will or not, but that's what I will shoot for. And I showed you guys that just to show you that these kind of numbers are possible. Whether it's 8% as kind of the average over time, it's still a big number, but say you could get even 15, say you could get 20%, the numbers are really staggering. You're talking millions of dollars by the time you're in your 50s, and if you're a younger person like me, if you're around 30, even if you're older and say you're older than I am, at least say you're 60 years old, but if you can still invest this $30,000 and you make 20% a year on it for the next 10 years, you could have $200,000, and you could still continue to grow that while you start to siphon off portions of it to use as your daily income. So a couple questions you might have. One is, how do you actually save this money to max out your tax-free savings account? I have a few quick points. One is set goals on an amount to save per month. Maybe it's $500 a month, $600 a month, whatever it is. Maybe it's $100 a month. And set those goals and try and attain them. I would say also cut unnecessary spending, and where you can directly cut spending, you see, oh, I saved $80 a month saving this. Maybe you directly invest that money on a monthly basis. You set it up so it directly deposits to your brokerage account. Also, you could consider, and I did a video on this, so I will link this video in the description, but refinance your mortgage and invest the equity in your tax-free savings account. I make the argument in that video and a couple videos I've done that is the better approach. I would much rather own a bunch bigger tax-free savings account that can keep growing tax-free than simply having more equity in my home. I'd rather make that shift because I think I can do better than what the mortgage price, which is maybe 3% or less on my mortgage right now. So there's a few tips on maybe where you could find the money. And then the other $1 million question is what to invest in. What do you actually pick to get sort of that growth rate? And I would say, depending on the amount of research you would like to do or enjoy doing, consider having a mix of index funds to individual stocks. So somewhere in that mix is the right balance for you, and only you can answer that. If you love researching and thinking deeply about individual companies, consider drilling down into specific companies and investing in ones with your highest convictions. This is my investing strategy, just having even 3-4 companies that I might own at a time, and really trying to find what I have the highest conviction behind and concentrating my investments there. If you'd rather set it and forget it, consider having maybe just index funds. Maybe you pick 5 or 10 different index funds and you just divide up the amount of money you're investing into those, and then every so often you maybe rebalance or you pick some new ones. If you're somewhere in between, you may be willing to do some management, but not as much as I do. Consider a mix of both. Some index funds, some individual companies to own. So whatever your investing temperament, if you are Canadian and you want to do better with your tax-free savings account, I encourage you to consider subscribing to my channel to learn more and to find specific stocks to invest in. Piggyback on the research I'm doing and the companies I'm investing in and why I'm investing in them, and then you could consider them for your own portfolio. And if you found this valuable, I encourage you to consider sharing this video with a fellow Canadian who you think might also find it useful and enlightening for them as well. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think of this video in the comments down below. Hit the thumbs up as well. It really helps the YouTube algorithm, helps us get out to more people. And just remember, it's in the bag. Cheers. Thanks for watching.